Hey, what's going on? This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com. Need a vehicle, pre-owned or new? You know how to get at me at I am Norman James or at Norm at Oak Ridge Ford. It is Friday, May 13th, 2022, the day before Game 7, the day after Game 6. Norman, Mike, and you totally excited about the series finale, Leafs Lightning. It was a heartbreaker last night at Amalie Arena, but the Leafs have one more chance to pull this thing off in the series decider tomorrow night at Scotiabank Arena. I think the Leafs are going to win the series and get over this hump. We can and we will. This shirt from 2018. This is borrowing from a phrase that the one and only Kyle Dubas lent to the world back in those days. We can and we will. They can and they will tomorrow. Michael P. Augello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. And how did that series in 2018 end up? And
oh, Mike.
And by the way, I'm thankful for my friends and family and all the the members of Leafs Nation out there that Game 7 wasn't tonight, because tonight is the 9th anniversary of the Great Boston Collapse. And if they had played Game 7 tonight, all you'd see is replays of 4-1 in the third period, and we don't need to see that anymore. But okay,
that was a long time ago, Mike. Those guys really didn't, other than the crest. And was Morgan Riley on that team?
No,
but he was close.
The next year.
That was a long time ago. We're
in
the midst of another opportunity.
I'm just saying that, like, it comes up every year, and if they're in the playoffs and they're playing a key game, it's an omen. But that being said, was I, as an observer, happy with the effort that the Leafs put in last night?
Mm-hmm.
In general, yes. They played a good road first period, didn't give up a lot of chances, but that's what makes the error that Alex Kerfoot made on the drop pass that Palat scored on even worse, because the one glaring mistake that they made ended up in the back of the net.
It wasn't Kerfoot's finest game, but the effort was there. The intention was there. Unfortunately, some of the results just not only led to problems for him, but obviously the demise of the team in that moment. Right.
But in the second period, they get their one and only power play opportunity. And of course, Cirelli counterattacks and gets the goal to make it 2-0. And at that point, I think everybody out there is like, gee, here we go. But this is the thing. They have fallen behind by 2 or more goals in each of the last 3 games. This is something, that they've got to remedy. They cannot continue to fall behind in these games. And it's like, I give them all the credit in the world for rallying yesterday. From the second half of the second period to probably about the 10-minute mark of the third period, the Leafs played fantastic. They get the 2 goals from Tavares. They get the Austin Matthews goal. They're leading going into the third period. But honestly, you couldn't feel safe saying we're going to hold on to that 1 goal lead. And they did try to score. They did press the attack. But I just hope everybody out there is not saying, oh, we lost because the officials screwed us.
Hold on. Chris Daniels couldn't get through the day today. He was so angry at anybody wearing stripes. Don't
get me wrong. Well, okay, here is what I am pissed off about in terms of the officials.
Mm.
They set a standard for the series. Standard that I didn't like, but a standard nevertheless. And that standard was they were calling everything. In the first 5 games of this series, they called 11 power plays 4 times, 8 1 time. So that's 52 power plays in 5 games, averaging over 10 power plays a game. Were those justified? Some of them weren't. Some of them were. Okay, fine. So 52 power plays in 5 games. And in Game 6, they put the whistles away. 3 penalties for the Leafs, 2 of them in the span of like 16 seconds in the third period when they're leading. 1 power play for Toronto, and they ended up So I mean,
So
four
what do we
power.
want?
So and nothing. It wasn't all of a sudden everybody became disciplined. It was that they weren't calling the penalties, so they changed in midstream.
What did we expect? What did we
Expect them to
expect,
call
Mike?
the
If
same
we're
damn
in
standard.
overtime of a deciding game, do you think they're going to call penalties? You
They,
know how the process works. We've seen it before, and here we are near the end. These guys, they're human, yet there is a philosophy here, Mike, is let these teams decide it. And and I would say to anyone stuck on what the refs did or did not do in game 6 or prior to that, anyone lamenting and anybody who's can't get over it, the way to avoid that is to dominate your opponent. And this is basically tic-tac-toe, back and forth, back and forth. It's going to come down to one goal late, and the other side, the team that loses, will be infuriated by the calls they didn't get or the calls that were made they felt were unjustified. And the team that wins will say, what, we snuck by the skin of our teeth. Now let's move on to round 2, man. The officiating is what it is. And I hate to be that guy, but you know what? If you don't want the officiating to have an impact on the game, do something so impactful to your team, the opposition, regardless of what the officiating does. They can't they can't respond. You have to put your opposition away, and I don't think either team is in that position to do so.
It's pretty tough to overcome a two-man advantage with Kucherov and Hedman and all those guys. So, I mean, as much as you want to sort of look
But
past,
weren't those a couple of high stakes
as long as you want, as much as you want to look past the officiating,
yeah.
it was a factor. Now, did they screw the Leafs? No, but they changed the standard they had set, and that's what
Right.
That's what I think is sort of reprehensible, because it's like, set a standard and stick with it. So they got to overtime. They had chances.
Mm-hmm.
Kerfoot had a 2-on-1, a clear breakaway.
Right.
And the thing that Leaf fans should be concerned about is the fact that in the third period and in the overtime, the real Andrei Vasilevsky showed up. Now, he hasn't been right all series. Something is wrong. I don't know if he's tired or whatever. He's given up 3 goals or more in all 6 games. That's not the Vasilevsky that's a Vezina Trophy and 2 Stanley Cup. But he showed up at the right time. And I'm not blaming Jack Campbell for the overtime goal, because that was on the Austin Matthews fell at center ice, so out of the play. Brandon Hagel comes into the zone. Justin Hall drifts out to cover Hagel and leaves Braden Point right in front of the net. Giordano's covering one guy, then he has to cover 2 guys, and Braden Point has time to put the rebound past Campbell. It was a defensive breakdown. I don't think Justin Hall should be in the lineup, but that I don't choose the lineup. This is the thing. These little factors are what are the difference between winning and losing. And I don't know what Sheldon Keefe is going to do going into Game 7, whether he'll take somebody like Kasha out or take out Hall to put in Liljegren. I probably not. Thank you, Will.
We're 85, keeping everybody honest, except themselves.
But I mean, okay, bash me all you want. I just say, like, I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
They're here, man. The Game 7, Mike.
I really hope I'm wrong, but until they prove they can do it, I'm going to doubt that they can do it.
It was a clusterfuck in overtime, but it could have happened in front of Tampa's net, in front of Vasilevsky, and someone like Mikheyev or Hall or Nylander or whomever could have scored the goal, and we'd be talking about how the Leafs got by barely. But in terms of the bigger picture, finally overcame demons and got it done. And we may indeed be talking about that tomorrow night. What I'm pledging is that if the Leafs win tomorrow night, we consider doing something after the game. If they lose, we can take a little bit of a breath and we can get back at it on Sunday. But one step at a time, as I usually tell clients who are overly eager to buy cars, or people who are overly eager to shut down the Leafs Convo because they don't agree with us. It is interesting, though, up 3-2 going into the final period. Dial back several years, the Leafs were up 1-0 after a period of play, up 3-2 in the series on Boston. They couldn't put it away. They were that much closer this time around. I hope it doesn't come back to bite them. What I worry about a little bit is that the Leafs, there's this sense that, okay, we just missed an opportunity to score. We just missed a chance to take advantage of a miscue. We'll get another one. And, waiting. And again, I'm not saying that they can control this, but the sense of urgency has to be there from puck drop. And, for Tampa, they're confident that they can weather the storm and attack in the second period, or come back and take advantage of Leafs miscues. I really do believe if this Leafs team as a group right now is able to get across the threshold and make it into the second round, they have to come out guns a-blazing tomorrow, but not relent, not stop after being up 2-0 in the first period. They have to put it all out there, because at the end of the day, it's not just the game riding on the line here. It's a regime. It's a culture. It's a phase. It's a portion of this organization and its history that's at stake. You know what I'm saying, Mike? And I'm not overstating it, Michael. There's a lot riding on this game tomorrow night, and if we don't want to accept that, I think we're lying to ourselves.
Well, I'm not sure. Okay, obviously, this team wants to end the streak of ineptitude. They want to. They want, their own personal one that has lasted 6 years, and the organization's that has lasted 18 years. I quoted a stat that I think it was Matt Larkin from Hockey News collated that the Leafs are 0-6 over the last 6 years in games where they could move to the second round.
Streaks are meant to be broken, Mike.
I know, but okay. And everybody says, well, that's history. That's the history of this team, of these players, not like what happened to Ian Turnbull in 1979. I'm talking about Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares for most of it. These players have not been able to finish. And game 6, they were not able to finish. Now, did they not show up? No, they showed up. I think there was a lot of effort there, and that's encouraging. And I've had people tell me, I think the way that they're playing right now is going to make the difference. Okay, there's only one problem. You're playing Tampa, and the Leafs could have an early surge, and I would hope that based on the slow starts that they've had in the last 3 games, they would come out with their hair on fire. Like Austin Matthews said after the game, with our balls on the line.
I like it.
That's that's the right mentality. And I think you saw the emotion yesterday of guys like Tavares. You saw, Nylander show up at times. You saw Tavares show up at times, Marner, Matthews. I mean, everybody showed up, but they weren't good enough to win the game. And that's the thing. Them showing up doesn't guarantee victory. And what they have to avoid, Norm, is what happened last year. And I know Montreal's a different team than Toronto, but this is basically the same team. And Brendan Gallagher scores a goal early in the first period of that game, and they were done.
Well, they were done. They were done after they lost game 5.
That kind of doom and gloom mentality is something they have to, they talked a good game. They said, we're not going to, they didn't want to comment on the officials. They just says, we have confidence in our group that we can win game 7. Right thing to say. Is that truly what is in their hearts and in their heads? If it is, they have a good chance to win. If it's not, then they're in trouble. And what you just said before about, well, this is going to be a game that may make decisions important for the franchise. I've talked to people up there. I don't think Kyle Dubas is losing his job if they lose tomorrow night. I don't think Sheldon Keefe is losing his job if they lose tomorrow. So the change, if it's not the coach and it's not the general manager, will have to come from the roster. And 100%. But we'll talk about that if they lose.
Yeah. So if we compare this, what's happened to this point with what happened to this point 1 year ago, the Leafs have already surpassed what they did 1 year ago. Not just because they're in Game 7, but because of the way they've played. Right, they fell apart after being up 3-1, and that was it. Montreal put them to sleep. The Leafs lost their nerve. Marner and Matthews were no shows. Marner didn't put any points up yesterday, but the guy was pretty spectacular. I mean, he was out on the power. Yeah. So he kills. Like, this is the thing, right? He kills penalties. He plays the most minutes. He was dazzling. They just couldn't get it together. He plays against the top line. Matthews, the same guy, right? Tomorrow we could see the same thing. Those guys suffocated, but giving their best in any which way they can, because it's not just about putting up the points. That's where guys like Nylander and Tavares and some of these other cats, Mikheyev, potentially Kerfoot, maybe somebody on the blue line. That's where these guys need to step up offensively. They, the second guy, the second level, third level, anybody who's support, right? Because Matthews and Marner are going to be run right into the ice. Now, they have the capability to break open a game if given the opportunity. But the team collectively has already done better than last year, because we feel like the team has a fucking chance tomorrow, even against a better team. Last year, Game 7, we were all hoping a miracle would happen, but we all knew in our hearts that team had checked out. So in terms of the mistakes, Mike, like the Leafs, if they win a Stanley Cup, they'll do it riddled with mistakes and problems and errors and near fatal scenarios, but somehow get it done. It's such a big opportunity tomorrow. And, if they lose, I'm going to be disappointed and expect change on the ice. But if they play like they did last night with everything and lose, then it's just not meant to be with this group, and something will have to change. If they can get through, then we'll re-examine things as we go through another potentially 4 to 7 game series. Last couple words to you, Mike, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I do think the key is going to be, I mean, we've seen over the last 2 games, Tavares has shown up. Nylander has shown up.
Well, they have to. They have no choice.
Right. But they having to and actually doing it are 2 different things.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging. But expect Stamkos and Point and Kucherov and Palat. You just keep going on and how deep this team is. You give the Leafs a lot of credit that they're better than they were last year, because Montreal was the worst team in the playoffs and they lost to them. I give Montreal credit, but it wasn't Montreal beating them. It was the Leafs beating themselves and allowing Montreal to beat them. This year, they're not beating themselves, but they're playing probably the toughest get in the first round. So, and sit back, enjoy it. I'm going to be up in Toronto at the game.
Yeah.
It's going to be, Saturday night, hockey night in Canada, Game 7. I don't know how much better you can get than that, but but it'll suck if it's Game 7 and game out.
Yeah, and I can feel the tension amongst Leaf fans, converts, OGs, people who reach out to me every hour on Instagram, Twitter, through the podcast, people at work. General Manager Mark Stevens, huge Oak Ridge Ford, huge Leaf fan. We talk about it. We're supposed to be selling cars and getting all the deliveries that have come in from factory out to people, and it's just hard right now not to talk about the Maple Leafs before Cardinals, but we're fans and we're excited and we're hoping something special is on the horizon here. And that's the thing, right? Like, we talk about the Leafs overcoming this ineptitude and the futility and the inability to get over the first round hump, but they can also end a potential dynasty, right? I mean, Tampa's won 2 in a row, and that the Lightning would not only like to three-peat, but do the third one, win the third one, encapsulate this entire run with the real one, right? It's just to kind of quiet the naysayers. So the Leafs have an opportunity to kind of rewrite not only history for themselves, but redirect history for the Lightning. Even when they lost last night, I said to my wife and my son, who was watching the game, I said, I think they're going to win the series just based on the effort they put in. I need to see, for me personally, and everybody out there, millions of people who are watching, want to see something individually. But I'll tell you, we need a base model F-150. Yeah, good luck there, Mess. You work for Ford. You can't get one. I don't want to see this team let off the gas, and I don't want to see this team pass up good opportunities with the expectation more will come. Right? When Kerfoot missed the 2-on-1 in overtime, oh, it'll happen again because we're going to go deep, and then guess what? It didn't happen. Just from community before we go, and then I'll give Mike one extra last word. Need more cowbell, dear God. I'm not asking for a masterpiece. He's just hoping for something. Greasy goal, a good bounce. John King, let's not talk about the negative. Different team, different mentality. Why couldn't the Leafs play in the third like they did in overtime? If the Leafs lose in Game 7, do they blow it up in the summer? I want to see the cup on display in Nathan Phillips Square in my lifetime. Will I make it? I'm thinking of George Armstrong, and I'm thinking of George Armstrong riding in the back of the Cadillac down Carlton or wherever the hell it was with the cup. And who else was in the
Dave Keon,
yeah,
Terry Sawchuk, and Johnny Bauer, and
right,
Frank Mahovlich, and
the
Jim,
Leafs. This group would need to get, if they win the cup, they should all get buzz cuts and put on trench coats and cruise around in like old school.
Okay, let's keep it in check here. We're talking about winning a round, and see that's the thing
if they win the series, maybe
that's the thing that's pathetic. It's like, okay, you beat the Stanley Cup champion. That doesn't mean you're Stanley Cup champion. This is not the in-season Stanley Cup like the guys from Sportsnet play. This is beating a team that's the two-time Stanley Cup champion and winning a round. It has gotten to the point with this organization that everybody will be satiated if they win a friggin' round. I'm sure, everybody wants them. Okay, maybe
he's broken, then break him completely. Let's
go. Maybe he is broken, but I'll tell you one thing: he didn't look broken in the third period. He didn't look broken when he stopped Matthews and he stopped Kerfoot on the breakaway. I hope you're right. I hope they, for all the fans out there, I hope they bury 6 by him tomorrow. But
do the Leafs? Does this group have it in it to overcome? To exercise the demons and take a massive step forward towards doing something special as a group.
They're talking. Sorry.
Go ahead.
They're talking a good game, but again, the 2 words, show me. I don't know. I'm skeptical. There are people out there who know more than me that say, yes, this team is going to succeed where the others have failed. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'm going to the game. I'll watch it. I don't know.
I just can't see it with Marner. He is such a non-factor.
Okay, just
what?
Delete this asshole. I'm sorry I'm sorry, Michael. Hey, I'm not. Because Mitch Marner has been the best or second best Leaf in this series. So I don't know if you visited the shop and got some CBD.
Got it out for Paul, man.
Yeah, some CBD gummies or something like that, and you're just in some sort of state. But give me a break. I mean, this is what I mean. It's like, okay, I know that I'm hard on Nylander, but I'll give him credit when it's due, and he's played well at times over the last 2 games. But to say Mitch Marner is not a fact, Mitch Marner has been he's on the penalty kill, he's on the power play, he's playing 5-on-5. I think he played like 30 minutes yesterday. Give me a break. Yeah. I'm not a Marner apologist. I look at it objectively. He's second to Matthews on this team in terms of importance.
He's more than a point per game. Again, I'm sorry. He's more than a point per game in his career. He played 20 less games than Nylander and scored way more points than he did. He plays the penalty kill as much as he plays the power play. He's all over the ice. He is a midget. He's tiny. He's small. He's skinny. Big fucking deal. The guy's a great player. If it wasn't for him, Matthews doesn't score 60 goals. And I'll tell you, any money, take 30 coaches in the NHL and ask them, who would you rather, Nylander or Marner? Even at that ticket, they're all taking Marner, man. We got to get over this. That said, Nylander's been doing what he needs to do as an offensive guy, and that's what he is. He's an offensive guy. I don't expect anything defensively for him. Neither does the head coach. Who knows? Hopefully 88 scores the big fucking goal tomorrow. They win. People are partying. They're down in the whatever Jubilee Square or whatever the hell they call it. Maple Leaf Square. They're having a great time. We're back in business for yet another series, and we can do this, folks. We can, and we will. Mike's in Buffalo. I'm in London. We are looking forward to another podcast and many after that so we can follow this team as it progresses forward to I don't know, a series win here against Tampa and maybe another one against whomever they have to play in the next round. Mike, if you don't have anything else to say, I got to go say goodnight to the kids. Don't forget, guys, we appreciate everything you do for us, all of the support. We are here because of you. We're also here because we just can't let this bloody team go. For Mike, I'm Norm. Talk to you soon. We're out.